Hey there, it's Bobi, aka Paginator, and I'm here today with a book review. More of a rant, actually. Alright, so I just finished reading The Last Atlantean by Emily Hayes. This came in an unboxing and Bazaar box, I believe. It is an indie print, which I normally don't have any trouble with, but this one, I'm going to save you some time. Don't bother. So, in this review, I am going to be spoiling some things. Sorry, but again, you don't have to read this because I'm going to tell you what you need to know. If you don't want to hear spoilers and you want to read it yourself anyway, go for it. Alright, so this is a book about Hattie, who is a lightkeeper's daughter, and during a storm, a man is kind of like washed up on the shore and brought into her home, and she helps take care of him, she and her father. Hattie has some older brothers who live in town, and it's a fishing community in Maine, which we don't learn about for quite a while. We don't learn that it's Maine forever, so I didn't know where it was. I also didn't know what time period we were in. Sometimes the language seems very historically based, and sometimes it's more modern, so I wasn't sure exactly. From the title, you can guess that this is going to have something to do with Atlantis. Well, the guy who washes up on shore, his name is Isurus, Isurus, whatever. He's kind of moody, mysterious, whatever. Hattie's like getting to know him. She lends him books to read, etc. as he's getting well from his injuries and being out in the storm. Eventually he decides to get a job there in town, but as he's like moving out of her house to go live at the place where he's got this job, he tells her, "Oh, by the way, I'm from Atlantis." She doesn't ask any questions. Just, okay. So, I don't think I can read out passages, or at least like whole book, like chapters and stuff for a YouTube video, but I'm going to try to look at this and summarize. So, we're on page 52. Okay? He goes, "Well, your family saved me, and I want to give you the truth. So, I'm from Atlantis. I was born to a high family, and my brother accused me of a crime I didn't commit and had me executed." She doesn't ask anything. Nothing about Atlantis, no response to that whatsoever. Like, whatever. The only thing she said, after studying the dirt underneath her fingernails, is, "But you didn't die." Well, no poop. I'm sorry, I almost cussed, but I revised my word choice at the last minute. And so she's like, "Well, I guess you're probably going to try to go back and take the crown away from him, right?" All of a sudden, I don't know, like, he was a prince? Whatever? King? Anyway, he goes, "Well, yeah." And she's like, "Good." And he's like, "Well, I'm going to be late, so you can go ahead and tell your father what I told you, because I think he'd be glad to know that Atlantis is real." And she says, "Okay, bye. See you later." Where's the reaction? He's from freaking Atlantis. What the heck? Yeah. The only reaction that we get from her is that she's happy that he says, "I'll see you around town, maybe." Something to that effect. Like, Now, to be fair, I will say that I was determined to keep going, at least to get to like 100 pages to just like see what happens. And the beginning part, like when we're in her small town in Maine, like I was genuinely intrigued by the plot. But then we get to a certain point, and here's where we get some big spoilers starting to come in. He tells her, "I'm gonna go away. I'm going back to Atlantis." And she's like, you were the king there, weren't you? And he goes, yes, I was. I'm going to go get my crown back, blah, blah, blah. She goes, well, aren't you going to propose to me? Or something. I can't remember how this all came out, and I didn't mark the page, but he's like, I can't propose to you. I'd be putting you in danger, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, no, propose to me. I'll say yes. And all of a sudden, she's talking about, like, she loves him. Where was the feeling development? Like, they flirted a little bit at a couple of events in town. He bought her an expensive bottle of vanilla to bake with. Like, but where did the love come in? I'm so confused. Well, let's fast forward a bit. They're off after they get married. They spend another few... No. She makes him wait till the springtime to get married. And he's, like, not in a hurry to go back and confront his brother who usurped him or whatever. So, anyway, when they're finally ready to go back to Atlantis, they go, and it's really confusing of how they get there, and there's something about, like, glass tunnels, and they ride through the tunnels on a horse, and I was not understanding where it was going. And they get there and meet some friends who agree to take them in and, you know, kind of thing, until he's ready to, like, challenge his brother for the crown. And here's where I swiftly lost interest. Because the language started to warp into this, like, I want to be Shakespeare kind of thing. Sometimes. So, for example, Osiris says to his brother, meet me to my face, or meet me not at all. I think what this author is wanting him to say is, if you're going to challenge me, you do it directly, you don't go behind my back, because this brother's known for, like, poisoning people on the sly and, you know, that kind of thing. But just weird, strange wording that, like, kind of seems like she wants to be Shakespeare, but not. And then other times, like, within moments, the same character will be speaking like you and I would, and then they'll switch to this Shakespearean thing. And so, like, Osiris at one point is talking to someone that got cut, says, oh, go see to your arm, she won't touch you, you'll be fine, talking about this weird lady that had barged in. And then turns to the lady and says, do sheath your zealous knife and greet your king. Like, I don't get it. Like, what is going on with the language here? What is this author trying to do? Again, here talking to Hattie, he says, I'm not sure there's anything to that. Like, very typical, the way we would speak, more modern, kind of describing a situation. And then he turns around and says to a person who enters the room, it's very much like a stage play. And I think that plays into the whole I want to be Shakespeare thing. But he says, Galileo, my friend, how fares Atlantis? How fares Atlantis? Okay. Like, then they're having a conversation, he and Galileo, and they're talking about, you know that guy, oh yeah, the one who's missing a hand? Yeah, Shark did that. He was an apprentice, but why are we switching back and forth between this modern and Shakespearean thing? I don't understand it. The rest of the plot is very weird. There's political intrigue things going on, and these two brothers are, like, apparently supposed to fight for the throne, but it takes us, like, 100 or more pages to get from arriving in Atlantis to the actual fight. And that 100 pages or so is full of weird conversations and who's on whose side. Excuse me. But nothing of substance actually happens to drive the plot forward. It's so pointless. I don't know. And in the end, we get to, again, spoiler, Osiris wins the battle between the two brothers, but for some reason he's not allowed to be king, because in the process he was mangled by a shark and wasn't able to walk again. And so, because he's not perfectly abled, he's not allowed to be the official kings, but his son will someday be. And then, like, in the very last page, all of a sudden the baby's born, like, there it is. And randomly mentions that Hattie calls the baby Jack, but everyone else calls it, where's the name, Varys. And they have the kind of this Lion King moment, I present thee with the baby Varys. And it's so weird. So we've gone through that, like, Sirius can't be king, but his son Varys can, whatever. And in the second to last paragraph, but there would be no king remembered by his people with greater honor than he, talking about Osiris, and his sons followed in the ways of their father, good and strong and brave. But they just got done saying he couldn't be king, and then, but there would be no king remembered by his people with greater honor than he? And something about how he was the last Atlantean because of some prophecy, and then by completing, like, sacrificing his ability to walk or something, he completed this prophecy, so he was the official last Atlantean. But meanwhile, we're still in Atlantis, and he's having children, and the city is continuing on. Like, sure, he's the last Atlantean, but Atlantis still lives on. It doesn't make a dang lick of sense, this book. I don't get it. Really great promise for an idea. Like, I don't want to bash an author, but I really think this feels like a very early draft that was not revised. And again, I don't want to be a mean, hateful person, but I mean, okay. This is why I'm so scared to try to get my own work published, because my name is the one that's going to be on that cover if it is published ever, and I'm the one that's going to get blamed if there are mistakes made or faults that I didn't see, or, you know, things like that. Like, I would be terrified to send something like this out into the void. I guess that's also part of the risk of doing an indie publishing route, because you don't have the full team like with a traditional publisher to help you with those kind of things. But yeah, I did not enjoy this book. And if you're out there watching this video and you love this book, I'm glad. I'm glad that you love it. And everyone has their own opinions. This is just mine, and maybe I'm like just super jaded, but it's just, in my opinion, it's not a good book. And I don't think that I even want to like go put this in my free library or something, because for me it was a waste of time, and I don't want to pass on it to someone else. So I don't know what I'll do with this one. So anyway, with that rant being over, it's time for me to go pick something else to read. Hopefully it'll go better than this one went. And yeah, I don't know, this one just made me feel so strongly that I had to go film a dedicated video about it. Hopefully the next one will be one that I love as much as I didn't like this one. So cross your fingers for me there. I hope you guys are having a wonderful, magical, and bookish day. Happy reading. Adios.